Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I'm here to talk to you about a war that is both on American soil and in foreign countries. It could be in your state, in your town, or even your own neighborhood. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the war on drugs. To start off, I'm going to go over the points we're going to go over today. First, we're going to go over what the war on drugs is and the earlier history associated with it. Next, we'll go over who is adversely affected by this campaign. Thirdly, we'll go over the effect this has on the prices of drugs in the market. And fourth, we'll go over the costs it takes on American taxpayers and the American government. To start off, talk about the history. In October 27th, 1970, Richard Nixon passed the Comprehensive Drug Abuse Prevention and Control Act of 1970. This built on previous drug laws and set the basis for all future ones to come. Richard Nixon then created the SAODAP. It's very long. He created this to help combat drug use, and during this time was the only time in recorded history that the drug war focused on prevention and treatment of addiction and the downsides of drugs instead of just punishment and violence. He then created a super agency, the DEA, to handle all and every aspect of the drug war, and they consolidated the CIA, the FBI, and ODALE. The DEA would later become America's #1 drug organization, conducting armed raids and covert operations in both the US and foreign countries. Next, we'll go over who is adversely affected. Well, black men are sent to state prisons at 3 times the rate of white men for drug charges, according to Human Rights Watch. And then there are individual states where black men are sent to federal prison at a rate 57 times greater than white men, also according to Human Rights Watch. And then farmers in the Andes, where the coca is grown for cocaine, are targeted with plane-based crop spraying that destroys all their crops and also the drugs and creates a harmful environment for the farmers in their daily lives. And innocent families in Mexico, Colombia, and the Southwest suffer under the hands of cartels that are violent because of the drug war and a decreased supply of drugs. Well, a lot of people say, doesn't this work? There are a lot of government organizations that boast large busts, such as what the team paid her last August by uncovering a drug operation with 8,850 marijuana plants. This is all according to WikiLeaks, and it's leaked information from the government files. And they have boasted tons of big busts and captured kingpins and call it a success of the drug war. Well, it's not. It creates a void and it creates even more demand, which I'll talk about next. The drug war on drugs is a systematic failure of policy. Whenever a drug bust occurs, it creates a large void in which a more competitive dealer or grower will move in and be better and more violent and still accomplish the same thing. The war on drugs creates a survival of the fittest with criminal gangs and organizations. It does not stop them, it only makes them stronger. Because of this, drug prices are also lower than they were 30 years ago. According to the New York Times, billions have been spent spraying coca fields high in the Andes and jailing dealers in Miami, and cocaine still costs about 16% less last year than it did in 2001. What does this cost the taxpayers? Well, $80 billion is spent each year on just the incarceration of criminals. Half of that is with drug-related charges. So about $40 billion is spent each year on just the incarceration of drug charges from the drug war. To put that in perspective, the United States only spends $154 billion for education. And also you can see that this graph, this picture right here, is about $793 per second spent in the war on drugs. Finally, we'll conclude with our points we went over today. We went over the early history and what it is, who is adversely affected, the costs it has to make drugs cheaper, and the costs it has on American taxpayers. So in conclusion, while no one is advocating the legalization of hard drugs, The war on drugs creates more of a violent environment and cheaper drugs that affect the American people. Thank you.